Good evening. This is the Cortez City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, November 26, 2024, and the time is 7:30 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Linda, can we have the roll call?
Kiefhofer.
Here.
Haven.
Here.
Rule.
Here.
Dobry.
Here.
Randall.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Tina.
Here. All right, we have a quorum tonight. So then moving on, do we have an approval of the agenda or any changes to the agenda need to be made?
Madam Mayor, I move that council approve the agenda for November 26, 2024.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis and seconded by Dobry.
Lewis.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Kiefhofer.
Aye.
Randall. DeHaven.
Aye.
Rule.
Yes.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're moving on to number 2 on our agenda, the consent agenda. The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. Either the public or council member may request that an item may be removed from the consent agenda at the time prior to council's vote. I will read the items and then ask if a citizen or a council member wishes to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda for discussion. A, approval of the council work session and agenda minutes for November 12th, 2024. B, approval of the expenditure list for November 26, 2024. C, approval of a renewal application for a hotel and restaurant liquor license for El Burro Poncho, LLC, DBA Gustavo's Authentic Mexican Restaurant and Bar, located at 125 East Main Street, Suite A, Cortez. D, approval of a renewal application for a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Rudowski Unlimited, LLC, DBA Rudowski Unlimited, located at 2310 East Empire Street, Cortez. And E, approval of 2 special event permits for the Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce to host a celebration of the Parade of Lights event on December 7th, 2024, from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Chamber of Commerce premises located at 20 West Main Street, and a business after hours event on December 12th, 2024 from 5 to 8 p.m. on the premises of Vectra Bank located at 350 West Montezuma Ave, Cortez.
I move that council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Randall and seconded by Dobry.
Rule.
Yes.
Randall. Lewis.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Kiefhofer.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to public participation. There is no limit to the number of speakers, although public comments will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. Thank you, Nancy. Okay. All right, I'd like to invite Connie to the podium and start with your name and your community, or your zip code, and then the 3 minutes, the light will be green until it'll turn yellow the last minute.
Just tell me to shut up.
Okay. The mic will cut off.
Go ahead.
Great, let's go ahead.
My name is Connie Coy. I live at 703 Hartman Road. This is Jedediah, our son. He lives on Hartman Road as well, 708. I want to thank the council for being able to present. I did have a petition that I'm going to modify what I say in it, because the road work petition for West 7th Street, west of 16491, has begun. And I want to thank Drew Sanders for listening. Madam Mayor, I believe you drove the road. It was in terrible condition, but you have listened to the 55 signatures that I did get in Ertel subdivision and have begun the work. We're a little concerned, I will say this first. it is very muddy now. So we have this first day to see. And someone said that there is magnesium chloride possibly that can be applied to keep that a little more compacted. So thank you for getting going on it already, because it had been probably, I think, about 13 years since the road had been addressed, and it had deteriorated. Lots of potholes, the chip seal was just a mess. We have lots, and I am one of seniors that use that road to walk their dogs, to bicycle, to scoot. We have a 91-year-old neighbor who pushes her walker along on wheels because she loves to walk the subdivision. So it's very important they feel safe there, and there's just a lot of people that use that just bicycle. You have to maneuver around the potholes, etc. So thank you for addressing that. And the traffic continues to increase on that section of road because when you go through the subdivision and you try to get out in front of Handy Mart, the traffic coming and going, it's a lot. So people feel safer going to the stoplight on 7th Street there. So it's used a lot to go back and forth. And it's not just the subdivision. There are around 75 residences, which constitutes at least 100 drivers using that road. That's just the residents. So there's city workers, there's all kinds of people there. It was used as a diversionary route when Officer Moran was killed. Lots of semis went through there, but it had to be done. And that's, and you know,
It's 2 blocks long.
it's about 2 blocks long.
We'd like to see it done like
Yeah.
the rest of 7th
Yes.
Street.
The rest of the subdivision is paved. And we would love to be able to have a better road on that section. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other commenters, we'll close the public comment section and we'll move on to number 4 on our agenda, presentations. We have none tonight. 5 public hearings, we have none as well. 6, no unfinished business, so we'll move on to 7, new business on our agenda. 7A is resolution number 22, series 2024, presented by Contract City Planner Nancy Dosdall. And this is considering approving a resolution number 22, series 2024, a resolution approving the replat of the west half of Lot 31, town site of Barrett, submitted by Donald Wayne Tripp, located at 1810 Hermosa Street, Cortez, Colorado, with the conditions stated in the resolution. All right, welcome, Nancy.
Good evening, thank you. This is a fairly simple request. Not sure why my PowerPoint's not coming up, for a 2-lot subdivision. The existing lot is zoned R1. It's 18,500 square feet, located at 1810 Harrison Street. It's zoned R1. The minimum lot size in R1 is 7,000 square feet. So the intent here is to create a separate lot from the existing lot. You can see here the lot is oversized for R1, although the neighborhood itself has a mixture of some much larger lots and quite a few smaller lots here. The house itself that was already constructed on the property was constructed to the eastern side of the lot, leaving a good portion on the corner vacant. And this is the portion that is proposed to be subdivided to create a separate lot for a single-family development in the future. Your criteria for subdivision, I put up there. I'm not going to read through it, but you need to look to see if there's adequate services, whether the lot as proposed meets the criteria for the zone district, and whether adequate utilities and easements are available to the proposed lot. As far as development standards, really the only one here that's most important is the minimum lot size of 7,000 square feet. The newly created lot will be just barely over 7,000 square feet. The existing lot, or the lot with the existing home on it, will be significantly larger at over 11,000 square feet. And then I looked to check that with the new boundary, that the existing home would not exceed any of the setback requirements, particularly the side setback on the western side there. And it looks to be set right at the 7-foot minimum setback. So staff's recommending approval. We just have one condition, which is the standard, they need to meet all requirements of utility providers, etc. And I've got a suggested motion for you there. Any questions?
Does the new lot 31A with the house on it meet the, I think it's like percentage coverage?
50%,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
It
great.
exceeds that by quite a bit.
Like it's
I mean,
less than?
It's less than that.
Okay, yeah. And then I see in the plat that the line between the two lots, the fence, the current fence for, say, the house is onto lot 31B. Is that going to create an issue in the future?
We'd probably recommend that they move that before they sell the lot, but at this point, no.
Okay. What do we do? Is that like, would we want an encroachment permit or, I mean?
No, only
Okay,
went into a public right-of-way would you do an encroachment permit.
okay, okay.
So they could make an agreement when they sold the lot, but most likely they would move the fence.
Okay, just want to make sure that's not going to create a future issue. Does anyone else in council have questions?
And the applicant's son is here tonight.
All right. Would you like to speak on behalf of the application?
Yeah, I heard you mention about the fence, and the fence is not a problem. It's probably it's gonna be moved back anyhow. So it's gonna not be encroaching on the other property.
Okay,
And my dad will own both lots, so he's in control of that until he ever does anything with it, so.
okay.
And if you have any other questions, let me know.
I move that council approve resolution number 22, series 2024, a resolution approving the replat of the W2 of lot 31, town site of Barrett, submitted by Donna Wade Tripp, located at 1810 Hermosa Street, Cortez, Colorado, with the one condition stated in the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by Lewis.
Randall. Dobry.
Aye.
Haven.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Rule.
Yes.
Hoffer.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, thank you. We'll move on to 7B on our agenda, award of 2025 joint chemical bid. Council will consider accepting and awarding the 2025 chemical bid to various vendors according to the bid results. Presented by Brian Peckins, Director of Public Works.
Madam Mayor, City Council, yeah, we want to keep treating water, so we need our chemicals. The last several years, the city has coordinated a joint chemical bid for the water and sewer plants in our area. The participants in the joint bid this year are Town of Dolores, Town of Mancos, Montezuma Water Company, and the City of Cortez. Combining the amount of chemicals used by these plants and delivering quantities semi-weekly has allowed all participants to realize cost savings. The bid opening was held on November 15, 2024, with 12 responses. The bid is awarded on an individual item basis to take advantage of the best price per item. Attached is a copy of the items used by each entity and a tabulation sheet showing the responsible bidder for each item. Also attached is the total award amount for the whole bid and a column showing the amount of the award for the City of Cortez. Chemicals are a regular budget item in each respective department. Public Works chemical budget for 2025 is $277,000, while Parks and Rec's chemical budget is $12,000. It should be noted that the chemical bids submitted for 2025 are less than those submitted for 2024. Staff recommends that council consider accepting and approving the 2025 joint chemical bid to the low bidder for each chemical as shown below. Chemrite Incorporated for potassium permanganate and citric acid in the amount of $11,650. Du Bois Chemicals Incorporated for soda ash for $206. Harcross Chemicals for phosphoric acid and calcium hypochlorite in the amount of $12,415.92. Cubwater Resources for T-Flock in the amount of $18,268.80. PVS DX Incorporated for sodium hypochlorite and sodium hydroxide in the amount of $100,400. Thatcher Company Incorporated for liquid alum and aluminum chlorohydrate in the amount of $130,155. And then Treatment Technology Holding LLC for chlorine trichlor in the amount of $7,245. The total bid is $280,340.97. Subject to any questions.
Madam Mayor, I move that council approve and award the 2025 joint chemical bid to the individually highlighted vendors for a total City of Cortez award of $280,340.97.
Did you catch Councilmember Randall? Okay. Motion made by Lewis and seconded by Randall.
Dobry,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Brule,
Yes.
Stoffer,
Aye.
Haven,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. All right, we're going to move on to 7C on our agenda. Request for approval of application to the Colorado EIAF grant to support the City of Cortez Water Network Master Planning Project, presented by Scott Baker, our grants administrator.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. The memoranda that is in your packet outlines what we're seeking tonight, which is essentially your permission to apply for the EIAF grant, which is the Energy and Mineral Impact Assistance Fund grant through Department of Local Affairs. This is the final cycle for this year. Essentially, this is to help underwrite Public Works' effort to pursue a Cortez Water Network Master Planning project, which I think during the work session you heard a little bit about. The estimated cost for hiring a third-party firm for this is $165,000. DOLA would, under EIAF, support half of that amount, so that would be a grant request of $82,500. The components that this water network master planning would involve would be kind of filling in any of the gaps that we have in our making sure that the calibrations or the necessary testing on those lines is completed, because pressures and some variances across the hydrants has been an issue. And then coming up with a kind of a capital plan, long-term capital plan for replacement. And then finally, consideration or detailing some auxiliary or alternative infrastructure options, such as what you might have heard previously, like potentially storage tanks, things of that nature to help manage the pressure as well as service our downstream customers.
Great.
Any questions?
I move the council approve the application for an energy impact in EIAF grant for $82,500 that will support Public Works 2025 Cortez Water Network Master Planning Project.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by DeHaven.
Lewis,
Aye.
Haven,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Stoffer,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Brule,
Yes.
Medina.
Aye. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Council.
All right, well, moving on to 7D on our agenda, ordinance number 1330, series 2024. An ordinance approving Second Amendment to Professional Service Contract for Municipal Judge Services, presented by Drew Sanders, our city manager.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. As you recall, the municipal judge's salary per our charter must be established by ordinance, and therefore any changes to it need to go via that process. So in 2025, for the budget we provided to council that was passed 2 weeks ago, we did allow for a judge's salary increase from $36,000 currently to $59,800. Now, council, the purpose of this is because of the increased workload and the amount of hours that the municipal judge is putting in to handle the caseload. If this is approved, the judge will actually start beginning to work all day on Mondays for the city of Cortez only, but will continue to be available for Wednesdays and Fridays, which she really effectively is now. The increase in cases filed in municipal court has gone from 436 cases in 2021 to, and this is when Judge Padilla was first appointed, and a year to date now, it's 992 cases, and there's still 6 weeks remaining in the year. So to account for some of that, and you heard from Judge Padilla at the work session earlier about what's going on with the court, I would, as the city manager, point out that this really seems to be the result, I guess, of a functioning court, because now law enforcement is actually sending cases their way a lot more than was before, when it was perceived that it was not as functional. Judge Padilla has got a very functional court, and it's operating properly, and we can expect, honestly, more cases to go through there. So with that, I submit a first reading of this ordinance to the council for consideration.
I have a question. Does our 2025 budget reflect this increase?
It does.
Thank you.
When was the last time that the municipal judge had a raise?
You know what, council member, I'm not sure. I think it was a year or two ago. I'm not, we do have Judge Padilla here who would know better than I right off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I think you went from hourly to a salary.
And I would remind council, this is first reading, so there will be a public hearing at the next council meeting.
Good evening again. So, when I was appointed in 2021, it was a hybrid salary plus hourly mess, for lack of a better word. So I think originally the salary was $18,000 for work done on Monday or part of Monday, but then $80 an hour for work after that. And $80 an hour at the time was the same rate as the state rate, which is now up to over 100. So then effective 2024, it increased to 36,000. My understanding is it had not been increased in like over a decade for sure. I feel like close to 15 years. I think Ms. Odell would probably know. But essentially, because it's so, frankly, a bit of burdensome to change the ordinance every time there's a change in the salary, I think that's maybe why it didn't happen before. So the most recent change was in 2024, and then this proposal will be 2025.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
I move that council approving on first reading ordinance number 1330, Series 2024, an ordinance approving the Second Amendment to Professional Services Contract for Municipal Judge Services, which will increase the Cortez Municipal Judge's compensation to $59,800, effective January 1st, 2025, and set the second reading and public hearing for December 10th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis and seconded by DeHaven.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Aubrey.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Brule.
Yes.
Medina.
Aye. Okay, we're going to move on to 7E on our agenda, an intergovernmental agreement regarding animal shelter services. presented by Drew Sanders, City Manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is really kind of a housekeeping situation. We have not really had an intergovernmental agreement with Montezuma County.
Oh. Okay, keep going, sorry.
In the past, although the town of Mancos and Montezuma County do use the kennel quite regularly, so the county does not have an impound facility, and so they use ours. So this intergovernmental agreement would be in effect starting December 31st, 2025, effective date through December 31st, 2025, so effective upon signing. And then it will automatically renew for a maximum of 2 additional 1-year terms unless written notice of non-renewal is submitted by either party. The city agrees to provide Montezuma County and the Sheriff's Office with animal boarding, care, and disposal of animals that are brought to the facility. This IGA just merely formalizes the historic relationship between the parties and just establishes a means of appropriately charging annual fees for the city services. So for both sides, this is a positive thing. It's my understanding that the Montezuma County Commission has already approved and adopted this, and we are recommending that the council approve Mayor Medina to be able to sign this as well.
All right, before we get into discussion, Councilmember Dobry wanted to share a statement.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a brief statement, and just for the record that I work in finance for Montezuma County. I didn't work on this agreement at all, and after speaking with our attorney, there's no need for me to recuse myself.
Great. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate formalizing this relationship because I think it's a necessary one. But it's just good to have this agreement in place. So,
yes, it benefits both sides.
I move that council approve and authorize the mayor to sign the intergovernmental agreement for animal shelter services between the city of Cortez, Montezuma County, and Montezuma County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
motion made by DeHaven and seconded by Lewis.
Brule,
Yes.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Haven,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Randall, Lewis,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're moving on to 7F on our agenda, appointment to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals, presented by Linda Smith, our city.
Good evening, City Council. Included in your packet tonight is an application from Mr. Alan Ralston. He currently serves on the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, and his term ended in November of this year, and he has reapplied to stay on the board. Currently, we have 2 seats open on that board right now, and sort of a tough board to fill. They meet as needed, so staff is recommending that we reappoint Mr. Ralston to the board for another 3-year term.
Great. Are we advertising then for the other spot?
Yes, we are advertising currently for the other spot, and there are 5 board openings right now besides this one, so council would share the information on the other boards. I think we included in a packet a couple weeks ago about the other board openings, but yes, we do have them advertised.
Great. Thank you, Linda.
My only question was, do we have term limitations on that board, or?
Yeah, yes, they are 3-year terms.
Well, I'm sorry, how many terms can someone
Oh,
serve?
no, we do not have limits on any
For
of
that
our.
For any of the boards, thank you.
I move that council reappoint Alan Ralston for a 3-year seat to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals.
Second.
Motion made by Spruill and seconded by Dobry.
Kiefhoffer,
Aye.
Brule,
Yes.
Dobry,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Haven,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're moving on to 7G on our agenda, cancellation of December 24th, 2024 council meeting, presented by Linda Smith.
Yes, this year, council, our second meeting in December falls on Christmas Eve. Staff is recommending that we cancel that meeting. Traditionally, we have done that for many years, and so we're just sort of bringing that forward to make that formal.
Great.
Madam Mayor, I move that council approve the cancellation of the city council meeting scheduled for December 24th, 2024 due to the holiday.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis and seconded by DeHaven.
Randall. DeHaven.
Aye.
Kiefhoffer.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Rule.
Yes.
Medina.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Linda. All right, number 8 on our agenda is draft resolutions and ordinances. We have none tonight, so we'll move on to 9 on our agenda, city attorney report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I do not have a report.
Thank you. All right, number 10 on our agenda is city manager report.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I should have taken the city attorney's lead and forgot to put a report to. No, I'm just kidding. So I just wanted to report in on the current term, and I did have the opportunity to present to the public leadership, or on the topic of public leadership for Leadership Montezuma on their Governance Day on November 14th, along with a question and answer session on how government is funded with Councilmember Robert Dobry. Several other city team members were also participated in a panel that day to discuss their respective departments. I also had the opportunity to deliver the night before that a leadership presentation to the Student Leadership Academy. We did that remotely, but a very similar presentation. It was a good opportunity and some very sharp youth. Number 2, we've conducted a successful wage meetings with all the city employees by department to explain the new wage structure that's going into effect in January 2025 and addressed any questions that arose. The new step plan creates a competitive wage for all positions in the city. The city conducted a wage study earlier in 2024 with Graves Consulting and convened an employee committee to review the proposals and help determine what would be best for the city of Cortez employees. Number 3, had the opportunity to briefly attend the Onward Legacy Foundation 2024 Grant Awards on November 21st. Onward has granted $107,313 to 34 local nonprofits for their 2024 grant cycle. And number 4, I had an opportunity also to participate in Mike's March, the Blue Light Walk honoring the memory of Sergeant Mike Moran that was held on Friday, November 22nd, 2024, here at the Cortez Police Department. I know that perhaps several of you were there as well. Close to 200 law enforcement officers and community members were in attendance to pay their respects to Sergeant Moran, who was killed in the line of duty on November 29, 2023 during a traffic stop. And then, Mayor, with your permission, I would like to take the opportunity to respond to a couple of public comments from last meeting 2 weeks ago and just what has transpired since then. So the first one would be regarding Mr. Clifford Giffen, who came and spoke about the application with Independent Log Company down on Lebanon Road that has been at issue for over a year now. And some of his concerns were that he hasn't been able to see the application and wasn't able to get that at that time, and that is accurate. But the main reason it's accurate is because we don't have a completed application to give him, and it would be irresponsible for us to give out partial or incomplete applications that aren't even going to be considered by a governing body. At that time, and a little bit of history on this, the Independent Log did in October get an approval of a site plan through the Planning and Zoning Committee. Before I went to council, that site plan changed and was no longer in a condition that could be considered having been approved by Public Planning and Zoning, nor could it be taken to the council, so they have to restart again. And as of today, they still do not have a complete application for consideration. And talking to Planning and Zoning today, that in our planning department, they're still not ready to go on in December either. It's going to be after the first of the year. So although we appreciate Mr. Giffen weighing in, there's literally nothing to weigh in on yet. It already started, but that was a start that didn't, there was nothing that could be brought to council, so there was nothing for us to give him. And the same thing, what we're really worried about, were we to get out partial or incomplete information on applications that aren't even complete, is they change, and by the time it gets to the governing body, people are going to have several different versions, and that just wouldn't operate well. So, any questions on that, council? The next one is regarding the traffic complaint on North Ash. And by the way, Mr. Giffen, backing up with one more, I had interaction with him literally the day after the council meeting. And then also for Mr. Lassay, on the 500 block of North Ash Street. Public Works went ahead and posted a radar up there, and also this has been addressed by law enforcement. As of today, there was no, even though law enforcement has been in the area, there was no traffic enforcement taken. There were no violations found, is my understanding. However, Public Works did set up a radar system and gathered data for a week afterwards on on North Ash. And I've got the results here I'll share with you. And then after looking at these, I've asked Public Works Director Brian Peckins to have his team put it back out for at least another week, just so we can gather more data and kind of verify what we've got. But the bottom line is, after looking at it, the 85th percentile speed there is 28 miles an hour and 29 miles an hour southbound. The average speed along there for northbound was 23.6 miles an hour. Southbound was 24.25 miles an hour. And then the max recorded speed of anybody during that time period was 38 miles an hour northbound and 43 miles an hour southbound. So based upon this and the manual uniform traffic control device manual, which is kind of the governing documents that we use for this, there's really no action to be taken, although we're certainly feel bad about what happened to the animal that was there. There's nothing compelling that tells us we need to take some sort of action there. We are still working on it. We have reached out to Mr. Melisay, and Brian was not been able to get a hold of him. But we will certainly look at it one more time and just make sure that there's not something there. And, you know, of course, anytime anybody can speed on any road, and it does happen. We know that. So, but we can't catch everybody. So, questions? Okay.
Thank you for the follow-up.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to 11 on our agenda, City Council Committee Reports. 11A is the mayor's report on the workshop. So our first item on that agenda was an update from Judge Padilla on the municipal court operations. When Judge Padilla started with us in 2021, there was 436 cases that year, averaging 8 cases per week. And this year, we have now 21 cases per week. That's almost triple. And as of year to date, we have 992 cases with 6 weeks left to go. We're seeing land use cases, other criminal cases. We're able to take cases via WebEx. We have 41 folks in our outreach court, and this is a choice that they can make to get rehabilitated and go through the process and connect with resources in the community. We've are working with the jail. We updated, Judge Padilla updated the bond schedule in July, and working with the county is going well. And then staff also attended the Colorado Municipal Judge Conference and are networking well with the Western Slope. To get more details about the presentation, the workshop is for Tuesday, November 26th. And then we had a presentation on our water rate recommendation for next year for water rates for 2025. Staff is recommending not changing the water rates from 2024 rates, and council had a discussion on whether we should still increase them by 5% to save a little more for the big projects coming down the line. And so we're going to continue that discussion when we make the decision, hopefully at our first December meeting on December 10th. Thank you. All right, and then we'll get other board reports. Okay, Dennis? Yeah.
The Cortez Historic Board did not meet, Preservation Board did not meet, but just as an aside, the golf course on, and Bill, I hope I'm not jumping into your realm here, but regarding the golf course, on this past Sunday, the 24th, there were about 30 volunteers that came out and donated about 3 hours' time each, all of them, in order to lay down the coverings for the greens. So I thought that was a good community output or presentation or output.
It was my pleasure to be able to attend and present, answer questions at Leadership Montezuma Governance Day about 2 weeks ago with Drew, and be able to answer questions about local government organization and finance, and how we pay for all the various things, and how different governments pay for things differently. And then I also was able to attend the Mesa Verde Country Board meeting. We discussed lodgers tax trends for 2025, and I was able to attend Mike's March, and I did want to thank the community for coming out to support our officers and to support Sergeant Moran's family. So, and then the last thing is I was able to attend a tour of the bridge shelter, where we received information about their capacity, their census so far this year, and their finances in general.
The Golf Advisory Committee November 22nd meeting was canceled. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 27th.
Great. Okay, and then before we move on to the next item on our agenda, and I apologize, Drew, for not bringing this up during council discussion, but could we look into the idea of participating in these council meetings remotely, or virtually? This, in thinking about this with or Mayor Pro Tem DeHaven, soon going on maternity leave, but potentially still wanting to be involved, or others potentially having work or life events taking them away from council, but still wanting to participate. I'd like to look into the idea of being virtual, and being able to still maybe vote or at least participate and potentially still get paid for their role in this.
We could certainly do that.
Okay.
I will do that.
Great. Okay, we'll move on. 12, other items of business. We no longer have an executive session tonight, so we'll move on to 13, public participation. There's no limit to the number of speakers and no overall time limit. Do we have anyone in the audience? Okay. Seeing none from the public to speak, we'll move on to 14 on our agenda. Motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis and seconded by Dobry.
Dobry,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Buffer,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Rule,
Yes.
Haven,
Aye.
Tina.
Aye. All right, thank you all. Good night, and happy Thanksgiving.